Tony Treble
What's good, great people, and welcome to another Talk with Treble. I'm your boy, Tony Treble, and today we are discussing compression. All right, so basically, we're taking the levels and we're bringing the highest point and the lowest point to a common ground. We're compressing it and we're making more room in the mix by doing that. You can still have dynamics through compression, but sometimes people overcompress and it causes there to be a lack of dynamics. That being said, I'm going to actually show you. I have my LA-610 MK2 right here. And so I am running through the Apollo, but I currently have the Apollo preamp turned all the way off. So right now when I'm adjusting, I'm coming straight through the tube preamplifier because the LA-610 is basically a double module. So it's got a 610 tube preamplifier on one side and it's got a T4 optical compressor on the other side. So it is two separate modules all in the same box. It's kind of a channel strip box, I guess, if you were to call it something. But it is from Universal Audio. It's freaking awesome. I run it with my AKG C414 that I have inside this Chaotica eyeball. That assists in the sound being great. So you hear, as I turn this up and down, the preamplifier is already awesome. The more you turn it up, it's getting louder. But the thing to really observe when dealing with one of these preamps like a LA-610 is the fact that when I turn it up, not only does it get louder, but it gets warmer as I turn it up. And basically, the hotter those tubes get, the better they sound. The warmer they get, the better they sound. So they even make emulations for this, for like Pro Tools now, emulations like Heat that add this type of fuzz, this richness to the sound. Okay, now in this preamp, you do have your polarity switches, which you see as I switch it, it does make a slight difference in the sound. We're actually going to leave it on this. This sounds better. And then I do have my high switch up here, so you can adjust your highs in the 7K, 10K, or 4.5K range. I find 4.5K useful for bringing out the brightness in the voice. Like you see, I'm turning it up right now, and it brought out a certain brightness in my voice. As I turn it down, you can also use it to cut frequencies. So like, let's just say we have a high voice and they have a really cutting tone in the 7K range of their voice. So what we would do is we would take that and cut that frequency out or boost it depending on what the vocal is. So these things are actually very useful. We're gonna leave this turned up, and then down here at the bottom, your low range can affect the 100 hertz, 200 hertz, or 70. Let's just say I wanted to give my voice some more body in the 100K in the 100 range. So as I'm turning it up, you can see there's a lot more bottom end in my vocal, as opposed to when I turn it down, I'm cutting that 100, rolling off that 100K range. Same thing with the 200. Same thing. You can hear me turning up, and I'm getting some more depth in my vocal. Okay, so now that's one part. Now then you turn on your compressor. Now the beauty of the compressor is, like I said, as I get louder, you can hear that my voice is putting pressure on your speakers, and as I get softer, it still has that same pressure because of how hard I have the preamp driven. But normally you don't want to drive the preamp that hard, so we're going to pull the preamp back, and now you can see that it still has that warmth because of how I set my frequencies, my actual equalizer. But the sound in itself is cleaner because I've turned it down. So when you turn it up, it gets just a little more muddy, but you're also getting more body out of your sound when you turn it up. So we're turning it down. We want a really clean signal. This is how I get most of my vocals to be so clean, because I am running through an extremely good preamp, an extremely good compressor. So then we're gonna go ahead and turn the compression on. And when I turn it on, I have everything on 0 right now, so you won't be able to hear me. Okay, so now as I turn it up, turn the gain up, you can see that it even brought down the edge on my voice now. So what the compression is doing is it's taking all of those wild ranges of volume and it's bringing them to a common ground, and it's causing a more tame and controlled sound. Now the cool thing about this one is I can use something also called peak reduction, which is on pretty much all compressors have it. And basically what that's doing is it's taking my high level and I can make it so that I can't get louder, even if I was screaming, which I can't scream because of the time. But even if I was screaming, it would uh, it would cut those high frequencies, and it would make it so that it kind of flattens it or smashes it down to fit the dynamic range of where I already am. So we'll keep this turned down. I do have the preamp hot, so but it's giving an amazing sound, and I'm barely pushing it at all. I normally like to keep my peak reduction under 3 dealing with this particular LA-610. I don't know. I believe that when you're dealing with hardware, each person's hardware is going to have wear and tear. It's going to settle in a sweet spot the more you use it. So I can't say that my settings are the perfect settings for your system if you are using the same thing I'm using, but this is what gets it for me. So now we have a nice solid sound, but that's the thing about compression. So we're going back to compression. I can take this and I can turn it all the way up and it gives me more and more sound, but it's still clean. I didn't have to get any louder, but it definitely gave it a lot more energy. My voice has a lot more personality now that we've added this compression to it. So I just wanted to illustrate what a compressor can do for your sound. Now this is analog. I'm actually going to be covering this next week. If you all want to tune in, next week I'm going to be covering a lot of the plugins, compression, equalizers, delays, reverbs. I'm just going to display some of the things that I use, and basically this is what we're going to go over, like certain things that can add that little edge or that little glitter to your sound to make everything just that much cleaner and that much more pristine sounding. So again, compression, the LA-610, this is what we were focusing on tonight. So this has been Talk with Treble, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe, and share. Follow me on Instagram as well. That is @Tony Treble. And I'll see you next time on Talk with Treble.